Hello and welcome to Connect to Love here on PRN FM, where each week is a journey of discovery into the many facets of our connection to love, oneness, and the human spirit. I'm Lisa LaRose, and I'm joined by the amazing Michael J. Russ, and together we create such a beautiful bridge to growth, healing, and deeper connection. And I'm so grateful, Michael, that you're able to join me. It's absolutely wonderful. How are you today?
Awesome. I'm always amazing. It was actually very cool this morning. It got a little bit of a lull in the heat, so went out and actually did something I haven't done in 3 months, and that's take a walk because it wasn't so oppressively hot humidity-wise. I'm sure that will change by the weekend, but hey, I wanted to take advantage of it now. We have to do that. I think it's always good to alter your schedule. You get into a routine, and sometimes that routine becomes mindless and doesn't allow for any variation. And when that happens, it can. Yeah, to me, I think something gets lost in translation. So it's a good idea every once in a while, at least I believe it is, to just shake things up every few days. Instead of doing this, do that. Instead of doing that, do this. And it re-energizes things, and to get away from routine, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in my life that's very routine. That's why I was chuckling, because I thought, wow, I thought to myself, how could I have a more peaceful space where I have a little bit more of a routine? Isn't that funny? We each have our different perspectives. Yeah, no, not in my world, not right now. No, there's too many little things that come up. Mm-hmm.
It's true, but it's important to in my view, to create a distinction to understand a distinction, I should say, between things you do every day that you have obligations to pets and animals, and to make sure that they are taken care of and that they get walked in a given day at a particular time, or maybe not. You have these obligations, and I don't know so much obligations, but gifts, these opportunities we have to be with our loved ones, furry loved ones, but it's a function of when it gets done. There's always something else that happens, right, in the meantime. And I'm open to that question mark. When I get out of bed in the morning, I have things that I know I will be doing. However, what happens in between those things that shifts the timing of them is the fun part. It's Truly. The fun part. I'm open to all of that. I'm open to that wonder. I wonder what's going to happen this morning. That's gonna change things up a bit. I like that.
And to be in that space of wonder, I would say it's a gift. It truly is a gift. And it was funny because this morning I trapped feral kittens, and I had 10 of them that I trapped. And when I drove up to the house to feed everybody this morning, they were outside. And I thought, wow, I wonder how that happened. Well, it didn't take too long to figure out that the raccoons broke in to get the food. And so they let all the kittens out. So I ended up capturing 5 of them again, but yeah, we'll see. I try to get them spayed and neutered so we don't have an issue in the neighborhood. But I do the best I can. Little bad, mischievous raccoons that change things up. They do.
I think they do. It's those opposable thumbs that little raccoons have. They can open things and they can get into stuff. It's smart.
And it's amazing. Yeah. They're incredibly smart. And I have 2 little babies that come up to say hello to me every night, and they touch my feet, and the one lifts his hands like, pick me up, and I don't have that kind of relationship with wildlife, but
pick me up, please.
It's tempting sometimes because he's so sweet, but I need to keep the wildlife wild. I will.
That distance. Yes. You're good. I agree with you. They are adorable, if not, mischievous.
Yes, they are. Last week, I've so enjoyed our conversation about navigating life beyond judgment because it reminded me of so many different things that I found myself recognizing that I needed to sort of take a step back and allow all these different amazing things to happen and to not be so critical of the things that I didn't get done and just allow whatever was meant to unfold. You had sent me a wonderful video, and I love it because I never know the content of what you're sending me, and you said this woman is just going to blow you away. And as I listened to it, there was language that she used that was a gift to me, and it was a reminder about the gift of wisdom and going beyond our beliefs and into wonder. And I thought it is so much in alignment with what we spoke about, because it's taking that step to freedom, freeing yourself of that judgment one step further, and stepping into this ultimate gift of wisdom. And how do we do that? And how do we cultivate curiosity, wonder, and awe to unlock a new reality where we're no longer limited by what we believe in? And I kept thinking about it, and I thought, well, I like to call myself the woman of wonder, because I wonder about so many different things. And it was such a blessing, Michael. I'm so grateful to be reminded about the gifts that we can receive when we're in a state of wonder is truly empowering. I thought, wow, how fun. And then you had even more fun with it, and I'd love for you to share a little bit about your experience and what inspired you.
Well, it's interesting. Thank you so much. The woman we were talking about who's in this video is a specific kind of channel, a medium that connects with individuals like JFK, and she just asks anybody to join her. And she's actually held sessions where she's asked the people in the session to each ask 10 people to join that have crossed over. And what's interesting is the how things unfold. I found it unique because there were some tidbits in there that I found very, very unique that she was talking about. There was the curiosity and the wonder. There was that, but more interestingly, there was a great piece about a great section about self-belief, which I thought was, these are things that we don't ordinarily think about on a daily basis. Nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, do I believe everything is possible for me today? It'd be a good idea if we did every once in a while. To wake up in a state of wonder, as you were saying, wonder what's going to happen today. I wonder what amazing things are going to unfold for me today. And that's how we set the stage for a great day, instead of saying, what shoe's going to drop today for me? What's going to go wrong for me today? That perception dictates our reality, how we experience our reality. And so when she was talking about self-belief, being open to possibilities, being careful about the language that we use, which I'm adamant about all the time. I think it's the one thing I've ingrained in my mind is to not beat myself up. Don't shame yourself. Don't judge yourself, because what you're doing there is you're really limiting the goodness, the good things that can come to you, the miracles, the magic. You're putting yourself in a little box instead of freeing yourself from any confinement with regard to thought and the magic and miracles that actually can come to you, that can manifest for you. So believing things are possible, believing it's possible for you. We don't think about this really in terms of when we're walking down the street, thinking about something, or driving in our car, thinking about some place we'd like to be or where we'd like to go. And we're dreaming. Now, everybody says dream, right? I want you to dream. 40 years ago, it was like, dream whatever it is you want to, and write down those dreams. But what we look at today is, from a consciousness level, that's actually coming at dreaming as being something, it's involving lack, what you actually don't have. And we have everything at our disposal. And there was a piece in here that kind of illustrated that at the end. It was where she had mentioned Alex Ferrari, the host. He had somebody by the name of Babaji come in to the conversation to see what gifts he wanted to bestow, and he said a begging bowl. A begging bowl. That was the gift that he wanted to bestow upon Alex, which I thought was interesting. She did too. But the whole idea behind the begging bowl is very, very simple. He said you sit outside of a palace that has open doors that you can just walk into and experience anything and everything, and have anything and everything you ever wanted is right there for you. Yet you stand outside with a begging bowl, begging for alms. When you have everything you ever need. And this is what we do. We literally confine ourselves. We think to ourselves, if I can't see it, taste it, touch it, it's not there for me. And this is the biggest mistake that we make. We have no limits. We have no limits. We have infinite possibilities that lay before us. And we can be anything, do anything, have anything. Yet we are confined. We confine ourselves by linear time, by linear thinking, by getting caught up in how, things that we shouldn't be concerning ourselves with because we have all the help that we could possibly need from our higher self and non-physical beings that are here, that are along our life's journey with us, that are here with us all the time, 24/7. So we limit ourselves. And I'm like, I start thinking about this, and I start asking myself, what am I limiting? What limiting thoughts do I have? And how can I eliminate those? Right? Because, hey, we've been taught early on. If you don't see it, it isn't there.
Right.
It doesn't exist, right? Don't bother thinking about the wondrous things that could occur. And when you start sitting down and kind of giving this a second and third thought, it's good to ask yourself, what are my limiting thoughts? How am I limiting myself? What would I like to do that I'm not actually pursuing because of the limiting thoughts that are holding me back? Right? What are those thoughts? And so the best thing I got out of this more than anything else was to live with a sense of wonder and no limits, infinite possibilities.
Wow, that's beautiful, Michael. And what a great takeaway. I love the idea of being able to live our lives with a sense of wonder, no limits, and just infinite possibilities that lay before us. I couldn't think of anything better.
Right?
Yeah, right. Part of that, I believe, is, as you said, that belief-based reality to the one of infinite potential. And it does require us to shift from a mindset of needing to know to trusting the unknown. It's a huge leap of faith. But I believe it's a leap that each and every one of us is fully equipped to make.
It's true.
So I guess that begs the question, how do we live with that sense of wonder without any limits? You know, it really gets me thinking, and perhaps a big part of it is through cultivating that trust. So how do we do that? It's a very big question. And in my opinion, I have to say there's three main areas for us to focus on for us to be able to trust. And that's intuition, synchronicity, and timing. You and I all the time look for the synchronicities and allow for that divine timing. And yes, we do use our intuition. And I believe that when we truly live in a state of infinite possibilities, we need to release the need for the evidence that you spoke about and really embrace something deeper, that sense of trust. And it's not blind faith. It's a conscious choice to align with the flow of the universe. Our limiting beliefs are the only things that hold us back. And when we trust our intuition, it's our direct line to that sea of infinite possibilities. It's the form of continuous consciousness that isn't limited by the physical senses or past experiences. Just by trusting that inner guidance, tuning into that higher mind, the inherent wisdom of the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, it's there available for all of us. So when we ask those big questions, like you did, where am I withholding trust? Where am I limiting myself? Why am I waiting for proof before I can move forward? Your intuition can provide the answers in so many ways. Sometimes it's a thought or a feeling or even just a quiet knowing.
I like that. I think that's a good way of thinking of it, right?
Yeah, right. You know that I love the author Dr. Joe Vitale, and he often speaks about the importance of listening to divine inspiration or that inner voice. He teaches that when you have a brilliant idea or a strong feeling about a path to take, you have to act on it immediately. Elizabeth Gilbert said the same thing, that the universe will oftentimes give you these little nuggets. And while we're waiting for external proof, for the money to appear or somebody to validate an idea, somebody else may get the same idea and they act on it and they succeed. But when we act on our own intuition, we signal the universe that we're ready to receive and we're in a state of open potential. And then, we have to trust the timing. Oftentimes, we get frustrated when our desires don't manifest on our timeline. We create a vision, we do the inner work, and then we get impatient when the evidence isn't immediately visible. This is how we give our power away, and we fall back into the reality of limits. And I so appreciated the interview that you sent because it reminded me so often that everything has its own natural timing. We don't have to know when it's going to arrive. The moment that we release that attachment to the how and the when, we open up to those infinite possibilities. Everything has its own natural timing. And as Bashar says, when we follow our highest passion with no expectation, we're perfectly aligning with the timing of our desires. It's for us to trust that timing and understand that the universe is working on a much grander scale than we can even imagine. And by staying in that wonder and awe for the unfolding process rather than being anxious about when it will arrive, that's when the magic happens. And things can unfold better than we even imagined.
Awesome. Now, I will tell you something. I heard this a week ago when I sent it to you. And I've been engaging in an exercise for the fourth morning now this morning. And I'll tell our audience because it's pretty cool. But I decided 4 days ago that I would invite during my meditation, and this is one of the things she's talked about in the beginning. There's a couple different ways to meditate. You can just simply generally meditate where you're just attempting to quiet your mind, or you can invite someone who's passed over, no matter who it is, doesn't matter who it is, to join you and give you a gift of wisdom. And that applied to you right then and there. So the first day, I asked my deceased girlfriend from 1982, the girl, she died at 25 of a very serious asthma attack. I asked her to join me. And when I asked what gift of wisdom she had for me, I opened the palm of my hand with my eyes closed. I had my left palm open. And I felt something. And immediately a plumeria flower came into my mind that was there, right? Plumeria flower. So when I did that, when I came out of my meditation, I immediately went to look up what plumeria flower, what the meaning or symbolism of a plumeria flower was. And the meaning is simply, the plumeria is a symbol of love, immortality, new beginnings, and beauty. And I know from the numbers that I've been seeing, like crazy, that symbolism is tied. It's the thread that runs through everything I've been seeing. Now, to cut a long story short, I had my deceased friend, one of my deceased friends from high school. I had who gave me a maple leaf. I had Archangel Uriel. I had Uriel come in, and Uriel gave me an acorn. And the meaning of an acorn is pretty much the same thing: potential growth, new beginnings, the idea that something great can come from small beginnings and that greatness exists within all of us. And acorns are considered lucky symbols of prosperity and youthfulness, power, and spiritual growth. You see, it's interesting. And what these little exercises that I've been doing, what they do for me is they continue to expand my belief in something greater than myself. That's number one. And they help me help the belief I have in non-physical beings that I know are here, and it enables me to ask for that help in other areas away from just meditation. That's really what it does for me. Now, it's a cool exercise. I encourage everybody to do it. It's not magic. It's not something you can only get to after you meditate for 10 years. You just have to listen and be aware and just sit quietly and ask anyone to come. I think my father's next. I'm going to see what my father has to.
I think I'd invite Wayne Dyer because When we spoke last week, we spoke about when you see it, when you believe it. And I think that that's a fantastic exercise, Michael, because you're not standing in judgment. When you heard Cheryl speak on Next Level Soul, it was an invitation to you. And you were not in judgment of that and saying, oh, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. Why would I try that? That's just dumb. There's no way that could happen. You allowed yourself to unblock so that there could be a flow, an opening. And I think that sometimes that judgment that we spoke about last week blocks that continuous flow. It's the logic, the fear, I need proof that this can be done, rather than the curiosity, wonder, and awe that are openings, the doors into those wisdom, the doors like those palace doors. Why are we sitting with bowls asking for alms when we have these doors to wisdom that can allow us to shift from that scarcity to belief into this vast sea of potential? So I really love that, and I was so grateful, and I thought to myself, well, that was truly divine guidance. We finished that show, and you said that to me, and you said, really, revisit this. I'm listening to this. This is really important. And so I allowed my curiosity. I could have blown it off, but no, I allowed my curiosity, and I trust you, but I wanted to know for myself. So I opened myself up with my curiosity. And then as I was listening to it and I heard about the gift of wonder, I was like, wow, I have found this new appreciation for the mystery, the wonder. And as did you, I wonder if I try this exercise, what gifts will I be given? That you were worthy of receiving gifts, which is really wonderful. And then afterwards, you were in that space of awe. You had this reverence for this experience, and I think that as you just didn't do it one day, you did it for 4 days, and you will continue to do it as long as it resonates with you. But you're cultivating. It's like seeds that you're planting. So you're allowing, as you cultivate these little seeds in your life, you're bypassing those belief systems that are anchored in that evidence. And you're opening to this amazing, expanding consciousness, these places, that space of wonder, that where I love to live, curiosity in the questioning.
You love living there.
And,
I agree.
It is. I totally, absolutely loved it and embraced it. And one of the things that she spoke about, and I had to agree, and Alec even commented, we continually fluctuate between low and high vibrational states. It's just natural. We get somebody that slams on their brakes or turns right from the left-hand lane, and they cut right in front of you, and you go, what the heck? So it's something that takes you out of where you were. But when we stay in that wonder and awe, those are high vibrational states. And it allows us to perceive this magnificent reality that exists beyond our five senses. And I think that's where the imagination is. I mean, I think that's why I always resonated with Walt Disney and the world of imagination. So we're bypassing this logical mind and connecting to this source of creation. And that's really where the magic begins. I mean, it is truly the magic kingdom.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That is so true. Disney was one of the things. It's interesting because you brought up Disney. In this particular video, he asked Disney to join him, and Disney gave him a broom.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. And so most people will look at a broom and they'll think, oh, that's good. That's only good for sweeping floors, and sweeping cobwebs, and that just cleaning, stuff like that. But it's what Disney encouraged him to do was to look beyond those simple tasks that a broom is always used for, right? And see that it could also be used to imagine and to get on and imagine you're flying anywhere in the world or in the universe. It's anything. I mean, literally Disney was that kind of thinker. You had to be to create Disneyland and Walt Disney World. You had to. And so the unique thing about this program that I really, this video that I really loved is that it helped me do something that I've been continuously doing throughout the past couple of years, which is expand my thinking beyond the boundaries that I've given it. Right? We all, and it's a reminder. I've heard, it's not that I haven't heard anything that was said in this video before. It was just said in a different way. There are thousands of messengers out there delivering the same exact message, but it resonates differently with everyone. And I can listen to one person and get that message in one way, Abraham, sure. I can get it from Bashar and get another one. I can get it from Carol Collins and the teachers in another way. And literally, I'll see the same message from different angles, as if you're looking at a multifaceted diamond. You're seeing something with clarity, but from a different angle. And it has its own brilliance. And that's the thing that is so absolutely beautiful. Now, let me just say this to our audience here on PRNFM. This is the beauty of this is that this is a solo journey. I've got my own journal. I write in my own journal, and it's mine. Whatever I think about, whatever I ask the universe, whatever, it's my journey, right? And I've got other players in my journey. My girlfriend's a player in my play, and I'm a player in her play. And we're all, and same with you and me and my family and everything else. I don't share any of this. I take it to heart, and I enjoy it. I do it for me because it expands my spiritual awareness, my connection to something greater than myself, the divine source energy, whatever it is. And it actually, what I manifest in my life is up to me. The reality I create is up to me. My girlfriend's not creating my reality unless I perceive her in my life in one way or another, and then it becomes reality, right? That's simply it. Mm-hmm. And so we have to understand that the reality that we're creating for ourselves within the context of a relationship, a family relationship, romantic relationship, partner relationship, whatever it may be, work relationship, that reality that we're creating is of our own choosing. As somebody said the other day, choice is your superpower. The ability to choose how you feel, how you think, how you respond, how you react. Choose the inner conversation that goes on in your head. Choose where you'd like to go, what you'd like to do. We're making choices all the time. That is your superpower. And when you give that power over to something outside of you, you lose the ability to dictate and control your own reality, which is what you're looking to do. This is your life. You're here on a journey. But whatever your mission is, nobody knows except you and your higher self and your guides, whatever. I don't know that, and no one else is going to know it either. They may judge it. If you tell them, they will certainly judge it for you. But it's not for them to tell you how you should feel and what you should go about doing and what connection you should have to something greater than yourself or even yourself, right? So I always remember that, and I'm telling you this for a simple reason. I haven't even told my own girlfriend that I have I'm doing this exercise. Now I'm sharing it with the world on this radio show and this podcast. However, right. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with it because I don't need her approval to engage in anything. This is for me. This is my personal spiritual continual awakening, my continual spiritual awakening. That's what it is. Now, when she decides to have her own, she'll do her own exercises and go in about it in the way that she sees fit. However, I'm loving it. Right? And I see the infinite possibilities that exist for me, and how when I asked my angels to come on board and help me, which is the other part of this that I find that I have not been doing. And I told you this afternoon. I have not been asking my angels and guides to help expand the things that I'm doing. And I have to do that because I've got all this help, and I just don't ask for it. And the one thing that Doreen Virtue, best-selling author with Hay House Authors, said years ago, decades ago, angels cannot just come in and help you. You got to ask. Ask them to get involved.
Said it, I think, and so did Donna Bell. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Get involved. Right. You got to ask them to get involved. That's all you have to do. Just get involved and say, help me, with in whatever way you see fit today to move me forward. That's pretty much it. and they'll come in. They're here. Hey, here you go. And I think the beauty of having this assistance, and again, the hitch and the giddy up for people. That's a term that most people in the world aren't going to be familiar with. I don't know why I used it, but it's a colloquialism. The hitch, the hang up. Okay, that's it. Let's use that one. The hang up for most people, what trips them up is that it's not a physical being sitting in front of them that they can ask for physical help. That's the hang up.
Right.
Right? So because you can't touch them, hug them, kiss them, feel them, love on them, whatever, in physical form, they don't exist. And that's not true. There is only a veil between, of energy, but frequency energy, by the way, between physical and non-physical. And this whole illusion, this grand illusion that we're living right now, which is the way I choose to see it, is of each of our makings, whatever it is that we see. When I look out on this golf course, the way I perceive it out of my window in my office is my own perception. It's the way I choose to experience it. Some people may think that it's something that's out there, but no, it's what I choose it to be.
Right. And Michael, if you recall, Cheryl said, sometimes we get backed up against things and we don't stretch. And sometimes if we can just stretch a little bit more, where can you reach? When I did rock climbing, if I would try to grab up to a ledge, I oftentimes I couldn't do it, but if I would just twist my body a little bit more, it would extend my reach and I could grab. And so sometimes it's just having that. And whether or not you have a belief in angels, there is, if you would just maybe stretch beyond your disbelief to a place where you allow your imagination to come in. And she brought up Neville Goddard, who I loved his books, his teachings. And he often spoke about the power of imagination. He would lecture. He was a dancer originally before he started lecturing. People don't know that about him. I mean, he didn't come in here with this knowledge, but because he was a performer, he saw the world as a stage, and that the imagination was that creative force. He said that, we're not just creating our lives, we're imagining them into being. So I think it's beautiful. Whether I do believe in angels, I do believe in guides and intercessors every day. And we forget that we can access them. They're right here, available to us whenever we want. And if you want to anchor into something more scientific, I would say look at Dr. Joe Dispenza, who wrote the book Being Supernatural. Now, he spoke about the concept of moving from a physical reality into a quantum reality, where we become a vibrational match for what we desire. But you figure 100 years ago, nobody was talking about the quantum. And all of a sudden, was it imagined into being? It existed, but we are no longer bound by those physical circumstances, but by our energy. So how are we shifting our energy? How are we shifting our beliefs? We have access to every point of consciousness at all times. Sometimes we don't recognize that.
I agree.
But it's those beliefs, it's the past experiences that really hold us back. So if we use curiosity sort of like a spiritual compass, it opens us up and we become receptive to new truth rather than clinging to those old beliefs. And I truly believe that wonder, that gift of wonder, and that high vibrational state, it allows us to perceive these magnificent, incredible realities that exist, but we just don't see them. And Cheryl she talked about abracadabra.
I love that. I wrote that one down.
So interesting. She said if you go back to the Aramaic, and I don't even know how far back that goes, I will create
Yeah.
as I speak is what she said that it means. And oftentimes I forget that that's what it from the Aramaic. I will create as I speak. Abracadabra. And you see it in writings and teachings, and as a kid you pretend you have a magic wand, and abracadabra, and it becomes poof, it becomes something else. But it's that curiosity, it's that willingness to try. However it happens, I just think that it's a phenomenal doorway. As you said, those big palace doors, open them up, see what lies beyond them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of risk, one of the things that our world associates risk with is a high degree of failure. And so, and then, kind of pushes you away from risk. I don't want you to risk anything because, you might, there's a higher degree of failure associated with it. And this is a problem, in my view. This is a problem, one of the problems, biggest problems of our society, because we have to take risk. That's how we expand our consciousness. That's how we expand our wisdom. It's what helps us understand what does and doesn't work. If choice is our superpower, then choice and risk go together like hand in glove. So we're not talking about risk when it comes to, jump off that 1,000-story building and see what happens. We know we have to have some common sense involved. But when it comes to changing your thought patterns, taking a risk in terms of doing something that moves you forward from a consciousness perspective, there's a big difference between that and jumping off a 1,000-story building. When you take a risk in yourself, take a risk and believe in yourself when it comes to what dream you have for yourself that you've either come up with now, or some people have lists of dreams, right? They're going to be out there until you engage in divine inspiration, right? When you combine that thing you want with divine inspiration that guides you and leads you from one place down to another path, to get whatever that is, to bring it to fruition. And that's really, I've been told, take more risk. I'm already doing things. I've been taking risks for decades. However, we become very comfortable with where we are. And what I guess my guides are telling me is that, okay, you got to step out of that comfort zone a little bit and take a risk on believing something else, on applying something else, and seeing what happens. And that's really what we're talking about more than anything else, is we have to disassociate risk from Danger Will Robinson, when it comes to thinking about our own dreams, where we want to go, what we want to be, the possibilities for us, that sort of thing. We have to be a little bit more open to moving forward and stepping out of our comfort zone out of the known into the unknown. Really.
It's going from a 4-letter word, which is risk, to a 5-letter word, which is trust. And Cheryl talked about that. She said we're addicted to certainty. Human beings are addicted to certainty. And so how do we trust? And I just absolutely love that, because I have to remind myself sometimes that I am divine child of God, and I can just trust, and I know that I am protected no matter where I'm at. I can walk into something and I just trust that it's all going to work out okay, no matter what it is. Trust.
That's right.
Trust.
That's an excellent point, because we have to trust in ourselves. We have to trust in something greater than ourselves. Trust that we've got all the help that we could possibly ever want or need. Taking a risk could be something as simple as asking someone out on a date, right? Or going out and making a new friend. We've got to trust that whatever happens is for our highest good. Now, somebody turns around and says, hey, get out of here, I don't want to be with you. That's not a slight on you, because they don't know you. It happens to be more of a commentary about where their head is. And what you learn from that is the energy they're putting out isn't the energy that I'm putting out or the energy I want to be associated with. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Right? You don't want to be associated with energy that's negative, and because it infects you, it impacts your energy field in a negative way. So that to me it's always a blessing when someone tells you something, when someone reveals the energy that they're resonating. If you can't already feel it, of course, okay? Because I know you and I can walk into rooms and we can feel the energy that's in a room, or when we meet people, we can sense whether they're, real or Memorex, as they used to say. And real or not, or guiding.
Is it live or is it Memorex? Yeah, is it live or is it Memorex?
Yeah, right. sort of like whether they're masquerading as somebody else. A lot of that going on nowadays. A lot of people masquerading as someone else because they're not comfortable with who they are and they don't understand who they are. They've never been comfortable in their own skin, so they decide to be someone else. And in terms of dress, in terms of makeup, in terms of bodily whatever, tattoos, or they say, someone says when it's like, you got tattoos all over your body. Yeah, I like to be an individual, and I'm going, well, those 6 people over there have tattoos as well. Are they being an individual as well? Or are we all part of a tribe? Right? You got to ask yourself, okay, what about this has individuality built into it? Well, the type of tattoos, the type of art, oh, that's cool. Yet you're still part of a tribe. It's interesting because there's one guy on YouTube. His name is Darius Wright, and he does out-of-body experiences on a nightly basis to explore. And that's his mission in life. That's his purpose for being here. And what's interesting about him is when asked, every time he's asked, he's doing interviews. He's been on all the podcasts, including Next Level Soul 2 or 3 times. Whenever he's asked about how people can find out about him or what he does, he simply says something very basic. He says, just go to my website and read my mission statement. He does everything possible, and he says so. I do not want to be followed. This is your journey. I'm just providing you with a different way to live it. And if that's something that resonates with you, then that's great. I can work with you. But you're an individual. You're not here to follow me. You're here to explore this earthly realm on your own in whatever way you see fit. I don't want you to be up to belong. I want you to be you. And that's, I think, one of the most beautiful things anybody could say.
Truly, I think it has a lot to do with trusting who you are, trusting your authenticity, trusting your uniqueness, trusting your own mission. And I love that he encourages people to do that. And when we speak about the gift of wisdom, trusting is one of those gifts of wisdom. It is the foundation for infinite potential. And I think that trusting is what allows us to release the grip of needing proof or evidence of every little minutiae thing. Without trust, our curiosity gets blocked by doubt. You would not have received the gifts you did if you didn't trust in the process, or at least be curious about it. So our wonder oftentimes can get clouded by that same skepticism, and the same thing, awe. We are in awe of something, it can get dismissed as a simple fantasy. So I think trusting is the bridge between what we know, or in those current beliefs, and the unknown, exploring those infinite possibilities, that field of potential. And I would sort of liken it to stepping into a river. When I go down to the creek or the river, I'm not demanding proof of where it came from. In Pittsburgh, there's 3 rivers that come together. The Allegheny and the Monongahela come to form the Ohio. They call it the point of confluence, which I really love. And that Ohio River starts in Pittsburgh, and it travels all the way through the United States down to the Yucatan Peninsula. So they often say that what we create here in the city of Pittsburgh has an impact of what goes on. But when we're stepping into that river, not demanding that proof of where it's going to lead us, we're going to trust that that current is going to carry us where we need to go.
True.
That's it.
Yeah. It's something came to mind when you were talking that Cheryl also said in the video, which is that spirit always seeks the path of least resistance. And you think about this for a second. Why do some people have a deeper connection with the spirits and the guides that are around them? Because they're open to them. That's simple. Once you become open, you become an easier path, a least resistant path. And so it's interesting because I have another friend who is up near you. I don't know whether he was in Pennsylvania or a little east of you there, but he has spirits who've passed over come to him from all over the place, all over the country, to connect with the loved ones they left. And he's like, well, in the beginning he was like, why are you coming to me? He says, because you're the path, sort of, because in a nutshell, you're the path of least resistance. You already believe, and it's easier for me to come through when you believe. Right? It's easier for me to connect with you when you believe, because you don't have those walls up around you. Right? And so it's very, very, very cool. The other thing I thought was really interesting that was quite applicable is that she said the path we walk isn't there until we walk it.
Yeah.
If you think about the interesting conundrum of the concept of that, the path you're walking right now is not there. It's not previously there. It is the path you walk is one that you create with every step. So you can go wherever you want to go. Right? You can go wherever you want to go. And because you're creating the path as you're walking it. Simple wisdom that is so meaningful when you sit for a moment and think about just how basic that is. We're all walking a path. We think we're walking a path that somebody else has walked. I don't care if you come from a family of 17 people. Nobody walks the same path. You don't walk the same path as your siblings before you. How can you? You're a different soul. You have different thoughts, different wants, different desires, different needs, different resonance, different everything. You might get the hand-me-down clothing, but how you decide to fill that clothing is up to you.
Absolutely.
The person that's in those clothing is not the same person. We have this. We spend a lot of our times, in my view, attempting to be somebody else. Somebody we're not, because we're more comfortable with them than we are with ourselves. And I know that I came from a place years ago. It was like 50 years ago that I wasn't so comfortable being by myself in the home. You know, parents would leave, brother and sister would go somewhere else, had something, I'm there by myself. I was like, what the heck do I do here? You know? Go 50 years later, 6 years later, and I'm sitting here loving the fact that I have this space that I can call my own. I know what to do. I know exactly what to do, which is hang out. I'm very comfortable. I am deeply connected, and that connection tends to my mission is to help that connection, to build on that connection, I should say. You know, to build on it and deepen it. And it's a lot of fun. And you'd look at me on the street and you wouldn't see him. You'd see a confident individual with a big smile, a happy presence, a loving presence, a giving presence. However, we'd never been able to guess that I have this deep connection with my guides and my angels and all that. And it's to me that's what this is about. It's a solo life is a solo journey. And the thing about this realm we live in, the earthly realm we live in, is that there are a lot of distractions. And those distractions generally have a lot of basis in fear and doubt. They get us worried about ourselves and an outside world we can't control. And Pam Gregory says every single time she talks, this is your deal. Do not allow the outside world to dictate anything about how you feel or what you're thinking or what you think is possible for you. Everything is possible for you. Every single thing is possible for you. An infinite reality. It's amazing. Just to sit down, it boggles the mind. But as I was telling you this afternoon, the biggest issue that I know our listeners have is that they'll listen to the show, they'll understand that the concepts that we put forth, that you have to make sure that you curate, as I think you said in a different show, that you curate the thoughts and feelings that you're experiencing. You curate those. I believe that's what you said. Is that not what you said?
Yeah, curate.
Curate.
Absolutely.
You curate. You have to do that in order to. And so you have to curate your experience of reality. You just can't let stuff just come at you. Sovereignty is being completely and totally aware of what's going into your head, what you're allowing into your head, and that's what it is. So when you finish listening to this program, be ever mindful of what you decide to expose yourself to, because it's likely that that thing you expose yourself to is looking to destroy the feelings, the thoughts, and the understanding and the knowing of what you experienced listening to this show.
Mm-hmm.
That is really the case. It will, and there's a plethora of it. There's tons of it. Everything out there seems to be rooted in fear and doubt and discord. Your friends, your family, as soon as they'll come and say something, things that don't have anything to do with you, things that are completely outside of you that you can't control. And I told somebody on the golf course the other day, I said, look, this is very simple. You can't control anything that's out there in front of you. All the trouble that might be there, the stuff you see as trouble, none of that really matters. What matters is what you do in your little 15 seconds right here in this spot. That is what you have control over. And you must accept the circumstances that come about as a result of what you can control. You accept that, take responsibility for it, and go on. We talked about Ho'oponopono, I think. I sent out
last episode, yep.
Yeah, I sent out that mantra, that prayer mantra, to at least 8 friends when we got off the show. I looked it up fantastic. And I just sent them the description. Yeah, and they all came back saying, "Yeah, I needed this right now. This is awesome." Even to somebody who lost their dog recently, they had to put their dog down because of illness. Put him to sleep, and I said, and they're really distraught. And I said, Ho'oponopono, you just say this over and over and over again. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I thank you. I love you. Say it over and over. It makes you feel awesome. And we have to stop being our own worst enemies. Everything's possible for us. Nothing's impossible. Stop using those words. Hard, tough, difficult. Words matter. Words have energy. Words program.
They truly do.
Right. And
one of the things that Cheryl said that I am so grateful to hear, and she said this, she said, no matter what, she said, I want the wisdom more than the evidence. And that, to me, is a sovereign being, and that is what she's cultivating. I want the wisdom more than the evidence, and I think that as we cultivate that curiosity, the wonder, the awe, on that path to wisdom that you were speaking about, Michael, we have our own unique path that as we navigate through whatever life lessons there are and apply the principles that we speak about here on the show, they are the great teachers that can move us beyond the limits of our beliefs so that we can step into this reality of infinite potential because it's our choice. We choose. We choose that wisdom, that gift of wisdom, as you did. And I think that it begins with the simple practices, as you did. You go into meditation. You're asking yourself the questions. You're trusting the wisdom that comes through and is arising within. That's absolutely beautiful. It's a living relationship with life, with love, with consciousness. We're opening ourselves up to that door for flow and allowing whatever it is that's meant to expand in our lives. I just absolutely love that. So if I was going to affirm one thing, I trust the wisdom of life to reveal itself in its perfect timing, in that divine timing. Whatever is meant for me will not miss me. And how often do we say that? We're just going to trust.
I love that. I really do love that. Say that again, please. That's fantastic.
What is meant for me is not going to miss me.
That's
Truly.
powerful, man. That is so good. That's something, there's so many interesting things that come out of this program, and I know I find myself going back and reading the notes that I've taken as we're talking, and this is the kind of stuff this is the kind of thing that just warms my heart. It just makes me feel like anything is absolutely possible. And that's the feeling that I want to have every single moment of the day, that everything is possible. Everything and anything that I can dream up, it can be manifested for me. And whenever it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. There's one interesting thing though that I find it was said maybe in one of our other shows that I want to remind our listeners of, is that we happen to place linear time on everything. And in the spirit realm, there's no linear time. You think of something, it's right there, boom. That's the power that you have as a non-physical being. You have that power. Everybody does. When you come into this earthly realm, when you incarnate and you're born and you go through life, you're taught that everything's linear, that you can't have it now. And we start thinking, it can't occur now. I've got to do these 18 steps before it happens, right? And so what we have to do as consciousness expands at a more rapid pace is begin to believe in nonlinear time. We have to say, if you ask your angels, if you had the capability, and you actually do, to ask your angels, when could I get this? Well, they'd simply say, you're the one who keeps pushing it off, so you tell me, because to them it's now. And even though that Maserati doesn't show up at your front door when you say now, something better might, in terms of thinking that it's now. I have this thing now. Why is my world so absolutely amazing now? Why do I have that? Why do I find it so easy to take that cruise that I've been dreaming about now? We have to put the word now behind a lot of different things that we think of. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're saying, I don't have that, thinking from lack of abundance, lack of what you're really desiring in your life. We have to put ourselves in a thought process of it's here, it's now. And then just keep our eyes open for the signs that are guiding us, that guide us in the direction of manifesting whatever that is, or something grander and better.
I agree. So what gift of wisdom, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask our audience, are you going to receive before our next show? It remains to be unseen, doesn't it? It is.
Yep.
But we just created an energetic signature. And in that energetic signature it's unfolding. It is. So even though when nothing seems to appear or seems to be happening, that energy is already unfolding. So why is it so easy for you to receive all these amazing gifts? Because you deserve them. I'll answer that. But beyond that, because it's part of your path and part of why we're here. It's a beautiful gift.
I believe. Right?
I believe. Yep.
So true.
Absolutely.
I thank you for the conversation, Lisa. Thank you for joining us, too. You're on PRNFM and our podcast. I'm so grateful, so appreciative.
Likewise. And, if you find something valuable in the conversation, please do share it with other people, because that's how we share the love. And until next time, please take care, sending you love and blessings, and peace out.
Peace out.